to Bible Talk is Real Talk. It's your boy NDO Scarleone, and this is Don't Call Her Trisha, Patricia Neely. You notice her online. She posts a lot of stuff. Waiting for her to come up with doing a show at least maybe like once a month or something, more dedicated towards faith with women and leading that direction. But right now, she posts a lot of stuff online. She is also going to be my co-host for this show, as I just feel it helps a lot with bringing a couple different perspectives in when it comes to sharing ideas, sharing things, and having someone to balance out to. As you know, my favorite thing to talk about is that big shiny light behind me. It looks like a glare. I promise you, it says Jesus is King, just no matter what. Just to prove them, you want to shut the light off real quick, just to show them real quick. Maybe you'll show it then. See, Jesus, still don't show you, but this doesn't look that bad actually. Maybe we'll go like that. So, Jesus is King is what it says. We are in the JIK Studios, the studios where we record Corleone special as well. He's about to drop his second episode. This is episode 3 for me. The first 2 I did myself. This is the first one that she's joining me on finally. Scheduling is a little hard at times. And so we came up with a really great show. Those that checked in on my live stream last night, I want to thank y'all for it. I thought it was a great time. Some of y'all had some humorous stuff you said, especially the guy about his dog humping a plush toy that I went back and seen. Thought it was humorous. Some of y'all like to get me on these comments where it throws me off. That one did throw me off. I had to think for myself for a moment, what was the comment that threw me off while I was doing it? It was that. But I appreciate Gustavo for coming on and talking with me from over there in, where did he say he was at? Marta, Europe? He's somewhere over in Europe there. I had a couple of you guys talk with me. I appreciate the love and support there. It was awesome. But I did say in the live stream that kind of had in sync what we were going to talk about here today. As each thing in that live stream pointed out, things that we're talking about today, which is biblical eating. What is biblical eating? So we're going to get into what is biblical eating.
You're asking me?
I'm asking you, what is biblical eating? So if someone came to you and said, what is biblical eating? What is biblical eating?
Clean eating. Eating what God provided.
But clean eating is nowadays is generated in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? You got vegan that's considered clean, keto that's considered. What is considered biblical eating?
Eating what God provided.
Okay. So going off of it, like I said a little bit when we were doing the live stream last night, I was trying to explain this to people that biblical eating was, like you said, stuff that was around at that time. We're going to pull up here real quick. I'm not going to share it completely, or unless these guys want me to share a little bit. Maybe I'll share a little bit real quick, this screen, just so that y'all can see it. If you want some insight on this, guys, honestly, I did a quick search on this just to get it. We did a little more research on this, and actually matched it up biblically, to match up with like Genesis. There's Genesis. There's Ezekiel. There's a couple books where this is mentioned in. That actually lead this, Leviticus. There's several books that this is all.
Leviticus is dedicated to the eating.
Yes, Leviticus is like dedicated to the dietary laws. So this is all led up to this, and we did a lot of research to this. But if you wanted to get a quick start on this, it's you could just Google it and get a fast idea of it. But I'm gonna pull up this, and then at the end of it, I will just show you like a quick idea on a share screen what it was, like what it is you could look at real quickly, or just so you know for facts. So looking at the screen here as it gets a little bright on my end here. We got, as you said, eat God created foods, which, like I stated, Genesis and Ezekiel, mention that a lot. So, guys, that means more like focusing on seed-bearing plants, fruits, vegetables, grains, clean animal products. Now, I mentioned last night, you'll recognize, remember I said this last night too. Mm-hmm. When Gustavo asked about the one thing, I said, y'all make sure you start having land, crops, animals. Then it was brought up today at church, mm-hmm. which rang a bell, and it just confirmed for me what God was saying is that this is the true thing. So God, what it reiterated is all week we've been having conversations with people, and people have said to me, what do you think is the most important rich that you could have. And people always mention money, power, all that's fine and dandy. But I said I think the most underestimated form of wealth and money you could have is land with livestock and crops. And people wondered why and asked why. And I stated because in that time, livestock had no real dollar value. You can use it for so many different avenues. And it was good for eating and clean eating because you were depicting what it was eating. So if you were going to feed it unhealthy, you were feeding it poison, you were eating the poison. If you were feeding it healthy, you were making it a healthy animal. So it was for you to give it what it, to take care of the animal. But people also used it as a way to trade off and to barter with stuff back in the day. So if they wanted some work done or they had a carpenter that maybe could do some work on their place, they didn't have the means to pay him. Guess what? A cattle may come in handy for him. Now that carpenter gets a cattle out of it, to start his own little thing out of. He may offer to do some work to get a pair, to get a female and male to breed. That's what I would have done. Because you always want to expand it out. But I always said you want to have that because some of y'all, maybe, I don't know what it's like over in Europe, but I was pointing it out today while we were in the store. You notice that they have like seedless watermelons out at stores. And my first question that I asked was, ideally, how'd you grow the watermelon? Like fairly, without the answer being, well, of course, they grew it in a lab. Without being the answer that we grew it in a lab, we know what they grew it in. You know what I mean? We know the answer here. But I'm saying it's taking away the nature effect of what this is, what it is. The eating God created foods of the seeds, the planting, and stuff like that. It's taking away. And if you think that the watermelon is the only thing that's going to happen, watch. It's going to become peppers. It's going to become tomatoes. It's going to become anything that you think that want to be it. They're going to all utilize it as a way to say, well, it's easier for you guys when it comes to cooking and cleaning it and making sure it's easier. And you're never going to think about it until the time comes when our children's children can't plant or grow anything for themselves because there's no seed to grow. Because technically everything you buy from the planet, you could take the seeds and grow it right off of that. It's nature. It says it biblically that you can grow right off of the plants that you eat. So your peppers that you get those seeds in, you dry them out, you can put them right in the ground. They grow. And I have living proof I've grown off of them seeds. You put them in the ground, they grow. So it's a logical thing. So I'm just trying to say that with that being said, it's some type of a thing that I feel like, and I've seen people calling it out and I've thought about it. And then when I heard the one guy calling it out, I said, you know what? There's just something about the way that the guy said it, that his conviction really just seems genuine. Like he really honestly is like onto it because I felt the same way. Like, why would they have seedless things? Like the point to everything is, yes, it's annoying to cut a watermelon and you have all them seeds when you take a bite of it and the watermelon seeds there. But at the same point, you're going to kind of miss them seeds when you want to plant one, when we're like 70 years old and the world's going to hell and we're trying to live off our own lands because the world's made it so hard and we don't have that seed to grow no more and we can't have one because we ain't signed up to register to whatever, little digital thing that they want us to, because that's going to be where they start to market a beast and everything through that digital currency and that control of the market and controlling everybody. Remember, no one said that joining the market of, the in this talk, what I said about Bible Talk is nobody said that watching the show that I was going to talk about that everybody's going to win in this market and all this. No, joining the push and the motivation of faith and being in the power of where you're at means that you're going to get convicted, but you're also going to find yourselves on the back end of a lot of things where the big and powerful and the elites are going to have the control over a lot of stuff. That's just how that works. Evil always overwins on the earthly stuff with the power, but they lose in the end because the light always overcomes the darkness. And the money is just something that's used to manipulate and pull things in, just as, back in the day, like women, used aspects to lure men in and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Stories of, greed and lust and power and anything that Lord and person, that is what they use. Other than that, the devil is a liar in every other aspect of the word other than what power you allow him to have. So if you don't give him the power, he cannot alter your mindset. Follow what God grants you and what God gives you and you will go far. It was on my heart to do this. Today it was on her heart to get the notes. We got the notes. Tonight was the night to do this. It is a little late on our end, but it is in my heart to do it and to get this message out. So a quick run through here on some of the stuff that's going on. You want to shoot down, I want you to shoot down like what some of the clean animals are and the unclean animals, and then what some of the benefits to eating biblically are. Is that what you have in like the chemicals and stuff like that? So I'm going to let her go into the details of clean, unclean, and what the benefits and the growths are from following it. And then I'll get a little more into details because I know people are going to be like, oh, well, it's easy for you to talk about it and to follow it than it is to actually follow it. Yes and no, it is hard to follow in certain aspects. You are correct. Good.
All right. So clean animals are just animals that chew the cud and have split hooves, like deer, sheep, cow. Unclean are pigs. Pigs are big ones. Rabbits, horses, stuff like that. Clean fish are fish with fins and scales. And the unclean fish are shellfish, catfish,
Squid, octopus. Catfish is one that I feel like should get brought to the table here, though, because
it has evolved. So
it's been rumored that catfish have evolved. I have physically seen a catfish come out of the water with some scales on it. And that's why I'm saying that I think it needs to get brought to the table, because I don't know if it's by the waters or what it is, but I seen a picture. I have it on my Snap. A friend of mine caught a catfish, and he told me it was a catfish. I said, there's no way it has scales. And he said, bro, it's a catfish. And then he showed me where it has the whiskers, and it had scales on it. And he said they've either evolved or something, but they have evolved with the times. And catfish now has scales. So I would like them to be brought to the table, because if there's only one thing that I do follow that is unclean in that food diet, it is definitely that animal. It's a very southern thing. Tennessee loves it. It is in a lot of dishes that you eat, and it is something that I thought was very stellar, and it is made often in my household. There's one animal I do feel. So I'm not here to judge anybody. I promise you, I'm not here to judge anybody. Say, oh, you eat anything that's I promise you 90% of my family eats pork. I do not. No. 90% of my family eats pork because I'm Italian and Israeli. They follow the Italian side. They all eat pork. I do not eat pork. But I promise you, I'm not here to judge anybody for that. I'm not here to say that, oh, I eat everything clean. I don't. I don't drink everything clean. I drink a lot of energy drinks because I work 2 jobs, 3 jobs certain weeks. I'm here to say just the benefits of what it is and what was on my heart and where we all can grow as a community of people, because my goal here is to work with everybody and get everybody the word out. For everybody to help one another, as you see my messages where I say, love one another. Be a beacon of light. See everyone the way that Jesus seen us. That's what I'm trying to do, is to be a beacon of light and see everyone the way that Jesus seen us. But that also meant by giving the information that I have and teaching and being that aspect, discipling and teaching in any level that I can to just help one another. I'm not here to be pass anything on to people here, just for you to take a message and then pass it on to others. You know what I mean? And I appreciate those that have hopped on and supported and been pushing it, and I'm grateful for that. We also have, what is a great thing for, when we eat healthy, when they eat vegan. So like when I had colon cancer, I ate vegan, felt like my body did a whole transformation. Completely felt different. So when you eat biblically, what are the stats? What does it say that you get? What do you grow from? Like, what is it that changes? What is it that you can have? What is it that, is supposed to grow from it? Like, what do you got in your notes? Yeah.
Well, everything is injected with hormones lately. So a lot of hormones go into growing food, into your meat to speed up the aging process faster of animals, so they can be slaughtered faster, mass produced. And then you see a lot of hormonal issues in people because everything's been injected with so many hormones.
Does anyone think that's crazy? Real quick, just real pause for a moment. Anyone think that's crazy? That we went from a world that had the means to support everything that we could, farm-wise, land-wise, fish wise, bird wise, everything wise. So all of a sudden now we're hormonally speeding up the growth of animals so that we can slaughter them quicker just to get it out there. If that's not the first sign that something's come down to just to be a dollar sign, that we've become nothing more than a dollar sign and a marketing sign, I don't know what is. I just want y'all guys' thoughts on that, and I hope that y'all hear that and comment on it. But go ahead, finish.
You hear everybody say like they think the kids are growing faster.
Yeah.
It's the hormones in your food. They speed up the aging of the animal, therefore speeding up the aging of you that eats it.
Listen, my 2-year-old grandson knows how to play with an iPad and an iPhone like it's going out of, you know what I mean? Like it just, you know, like the moment he came out the womb, he knows how to do this. The boy knows how to play with this stuff. The algorithms are crazy on these kids. It speeds up their brains and their thinking. But that's the problem is they're young and they start acting like they're too grown. And I see it now when I'm looking at my grandson at 2 years old. He's over there like, he's doing what like we were doing at 10. You know what I mean? When we were playing like the Nintendo or the Atari, like some of these people that are listed is probably don't even know what Atari was or Nintendo, but it was a game system. But it'd be like your version of PlayStation 1 maybe or 2, whatever would have been your very first game system. That was ours. So, but yeah, it speeds up the way they think, but then you see the way they act and the way they think and the way they move and the behavior in that. And I can't tell you like, so long story short, one of the jobs I work at, I work on the floor a lot. And I can't tell you the conversation I heard when I was in the one aisle. I had a whole conversation go on between like two different families. It was a Spanish family and then it was a white family. And I say that because one was because I thought they were both arguing over two different aspects, but it actually turned out they both were arguing over the same topic because they both hated the fact that Walmart allows that you could just walk in any type of attire. And here's why. So two girls came in, two young girls. And you know, I'm a big person of diversity. Nobody's upset about that part. But the girls came in wearing like sports top bras and them new things where the shorts show off nothing but their butts. You know what I mean? I mean, it was like there was nothing. I mean, it was like as if they were wearing like bikini shorts, but it was just showing. And the moms had their kids in the cart. You know what I mean? And the dads were shopping and that, and the moms were just like, and it was both like in the thing. So like they're saying in Spanish to the thing, like, can't you go like say something about this and that? And they were like, so the husbands were like, well, honey, you can't stop them from doing that. Yeah. I mean, and that's when one of them asked, like, are they allowed to enter like that? And I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, until they do something wrong, they're allowed to come into Walmart any way they like. Yeah. You know what I mean? As long as they're just not stark naked. And they were like, that's a shame that they even would walk out like that. Who lets their kids walk out the door like that? They grow and they mature in such a quick manner and that it becomes such an aspect that it's just such a culture that it leads to so many things, and you don't realize the damage it's doing until you see it live, like happening live in front of you, and you see how much of it becomes like, I don't want to say like predatory, but you just see how bad it is because these girls come in and they seek this attention at times. Not that they seek the attention, but they come in and you can see like they don't mind the attention. Not that they always look for the attention, but then they get upset by the attention with the way that they kind of come in looking. And then it's sometimes the attention given to them by like some of these dudes that are like older than me. Like they're like 65 years old, 67 years old. In their time, they didn't see this in the store. You went to the grocery store and what did my grandma say? Favorite words were slacks and a shirt. Yeah. What was their word? Slacks. So like she thought the way my ex-wife dressed was provocative. You know what I mean? Showing off her belly. She'd have a stroke walking in the store now. You know what I mean? So that's not saying anything about, like I said, whatever. To each their own as far as it comes with the dress. But what I'm saying is it has evolved in that aspect, and it's really come because it's led into two different mindsets of cultures. The cultures then have been followed by the speed up of the hormones. Now, think about it. It leads to a lot of things that people have been pointing out factually that people don't want to hear. So the rapper Dax, I bring him up often. He said in one of his songs that the algorithm on these children are potent by like levels above other people. He's not wrong there. But nobody thinks about that because he also mentions that during all that time, they use that same algorithm to help promote things that now are going on, like the stuff you see going on right now, and that it's okayed and that should be allowed, and that if you look at a person the wrong way, it could get looked at as you're harassing them or you're not in support of what they're doing. But then you get that grandpa who comes in who looks at them and they feel like they're being sexualized. Now all of a sudden they're being sexualized, but they're also walking in with practically nothing on in the store. You know what I mean? So then at my other job, it gets a little different. We had a boy walk in where he had no shirt and they made him leave and go put a shirt on. And then when a girl came in with just top, they told her the same thing. So it works on based upon different thing. And they said, we're not trying to have that here because we know how this works. You know what I mean? We have families that come in here. You know what I mean? We have Jewish families that come in here. We have Mennonite families that come in here. We have families that are traveling that come in here. We are not having this in here because they like to stand out in the parking lot. They like to hang out. They like to have their little parties out there. They like to dance. And then they're like, we're not having it. So it depends on where you're at, what they're doing, and it is what it is. But what I'm saying is just coming off of this is not only is there a lot of health things there, but also when you put hormones into things, it also intrigues into the stuff that, like she said,
it changes brain chemistry.
It changes your brain chemistry. It changes your body chemistry, though.
It's speeding up the aging process. That's why people don't live to be 100 anymore.
Well, I don't know if I'd want to be 100 anymore, though, like they did back in the day.
But it's speeding up the aging process.
It is, but it's also speeding up. How do I want to put this? It's speeding up the physical process of like the body growth, but then the mentality still kind of stays where it's at in some aspects. Like you got 13-year-old girls walking outside that look like they're 18. And parents let them walk out a certain way. Now, some, not all. Some are like, you ain't walking out the door like that. You know what I mean? Because it's just not a thing. Like, you should not be. I know I didn't let my girls walk outside like that. You know what I mean? It's just a thing. I'm not trying to hate on anybody that allows X, Y, and Z, but that wasn't a thing. But all I'm trying to make the point here is the chemicals change the balance of how people are thinking of what goes on. Not just children, but adults and each of us.
It does. It changes the chemistry of everything, which leads into cancer cells. Yeah. Anything that is processed.
Glad you brought that up.
Is now a
Last time I had colon cancer, they said it came from one thing. My body could not process one thing. The dye that goes into the red meat. Not the red meat itself. The dye, the red dye that is used to keep the meat on the shelf for like however long that it's on.
Because if with age, it browns.
That was the one thing that caused it. When they did the search on everything that caused it, that was the one thing that caused my whole body to break down. And when I tell you I got sick, like it made me look like deathly sick. Like I lost weight, I got whatever. But to counter that, when I did get better and I had to go back and I started eating food and that, and this food is processed, my body also put on a massive amount of weight very quickly that I've had to work off since then because it put it on so quickly. And I felt like all of a sudden my body was tired and like I was older and my mentality was killing me. And I was just like, I'm drained, I'm exhausted. So it does play a role in each aspect is what I'm trying to say. Yep. Not that it just does things with the youth, because a lot of that has a lot to do with what we allow as a generation to, not what we allow as a generation, but what the new generation is allowed and what they want and what they like. We pointed that out in the sports show too, how the newer generation, they look at like losses on certain teams. They're like, hey, it is what it is. Where we look at things and be like, wow, I can't believe that team didn't make it this year. No, that new generation don't care. They get more hyped up by watching key components or players kind of fall apart. You know what I mean? And not performing, just as in faith. If you bring up to some of these young kids the King James Version, even though I read the Tree of Life version and I have the King James Version, I read the King James Version in my car. You bring up the King James Version, they think you're talking about LeBron James. When you say, hey, yo, you checked out the King James Version, they think it's like the LeBron James Version or something. What do you mean? LeBron did what? What? I asked that. I proved the point because, again, rap artist Dak said, when you bring up King James, they be thinking you talk about LeBron. I asked that as a kid. You know what I mean? Some of them don't know what it is. And why is that? Because we came from a generation that our parents felt we're going to let our kids decide what they want to do for faith, because they came up in the generation where it was really strict Roman Catholic, very strict Greek Orthodox, real strict. I don't know where everybody's from, but just where I was from, a Polish Orthodox. It was very like strict Catholic where I was at, very strict Protestant. It was like, if you don't do this, you're going to hell. If you don't do this, you're going to hell. If you don't do this, you're going to hell. And you know what? The sad part is, I wish they actually did it, because they actually weren't wrong. The sad part is that they weren't wrong. When they're like, oh, we felt like they were wrong because they kept telling you, if you didn't do this, you're going to hell. And we want our version of God to be understanding. I was like, so when I was a kid, I thought about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. You know what I mean? He should be understanding, right? Then you read the Bible and you're like, that there's only one rule. Like, he gives it all, like in the book. It's just one set thing. Even Jesus, across the board, his son says the same thing across the board. It's pretty stellar through. You know what I mean? He sets the whole tone right through. Follow the rules that he gives you. You have the commandments. Be a good person. Help one another. Love one another. And this, and this. But he sets a tone of rules in between each of the books of what's supposed to be there. Our generation didn't want to be that generation and pass it on, so they gave us the option. Now, I don't know the percentile of our generation that decided that faith was a thing to have in our lives, but it was kind of left up to us. So we're the generation left to make that choice. Some of us did. I kept it in my life because my grandmother put it in my life. You've heard me say this before in episodes. I've said this a lot. My grandmother kept it very close to me in my life. You grew up with it in your life as well. But that's all we had, was just keep it close. It wasn't like instilled. And then I had to I kept it close enough, like I said in my one episode. You could either stay close enough like Peter, where he reels you in, or you could stray away far enough like Judas, and you get lost and consumed and make bad choices and disappear like he did. I stayed close enough like Peter. She chose to stay close enough like Peter. Some of us stayed close enough like Peter. Others may have strayed away and don't look at it all completely. But we then got in a generation where we had to teach it to our children. And then we didn't really have it taught to us, so we didn't teach it any better. So now we're in the era where we're trying to teach it to other people and do it the best that we can. And you realize, though, then you're teaching it to a generation that has no sense of what it is at all, because they don't care. So who's to really blame in that aspect? Mankind. You can blame us. You can blame yourselves. We can blame anybody. You can blame it on anything. You can blame it on the world. Honestly, I blame it on the world overall. I blame it on the parents. I blame it on the machine first, which is designed to warp the children from everything. What's on TV, what's on the radio, what's on their phones, what's on what they watch. What they watch, hear, see is all what they're going to imitate at this moment. Is not very much God stuff. If you go through your kids' phones, I promise you, test your on it. Please, somebody, just ask your kid to go through their phone and scroll through their TikTok. Tell me if you find anything godly. Any of you that get it, God bless you. You have done an awesome job, and I commend you. And I would need your advice on how you did it, because I've tried with my children. 2, I would say, have gone in the right direction. My son, my oldest daughter is definitely in that direction. My youngest daughter is starting to push in that direction. You know what I mean? I feel like we're starting to get them all to start heading that direction, and sooner than later. But we still got some work to do, right? We still got some work to do here. But if anybody goes to their phone and says, hey, I got mine, and mine has everything biblically in it, God bless you, and I need your advice on how you did it, because it's a tough world to do it in, especially when you work as much as I am. You know what I mean? It's just so hard to compete with this world, is because online it tells them everything, even with their eating stuff. Like, they think that this stuff, like the way it's advertised, is good because it looks good. They don't realize what's in it. So, we all get guilty of that. You're stuck in traffic. McDonald's signs up there. Burger King. I'm not a McDonald's guy, so Burger King's up there. Wendy's. Taco Bell. If I had to pick fast food joint, Taco Bell's our thing. Taco Bell signs up there lit up, the big bell, and I'm like, oh man, Taco Bell seems kind of good right now. You know what I mean? Like, been stuck in this traffic going to Tennessee forever. Like, let's hit Taco Bell. Or like a Love's travel station. For whatever reason, I have a thing with stopping at Love's and getting stuff there. It's off their roller grill. I don't know why. It's just something with the way Love's does their roller grills. But it's terrible. It's not good eating. But like she said, it's instant gratification. You don't get the health ingredients that she's about to say you're supposed to get here. So, what else is it that you get financially? What is, what do you save when you go biblical eating?
Everything. You no longer rely on the grocery store.
Which that is a goal that I've said everybody should set, by the way. If we all decided, not that we can, but if we've all decided, starting small, those that have the means, because I know some of you live in apartments, that you can't. But even some of you can start off with little pots. You know what I mean? Start growing your own little vegetables to help take it off your plate. Having to go to the store constantly. Just see what you would save.
I think we were spending $300 a week.
Yeah, we were spending a lot between like vegetables and then what we would get, because to be honest, part of what we're gonna bring up is, in biblical eating, there's anybody that would read the Bible knows that the book of Daniel, I preach about it a lot. It's one of my favorite books to read, because when somebody comes to me and says, I need a book that helps me build faith and shows me a person that had direct faith completely through everything, I tell them to go to Daniel. Because Daniel was exiled, put through the ringer for stuff, but never wavered in his faith. That or Job. But I usually recommend Job because of loss. When somebody tells me you're going through loss and need to keep faith, Job's the perfect book, because the man lost everything and kept his faith. Daniel is a book about faith because the man was thrown in a cave with lions and had the faith that God was going to stop the lions from eating him, and they didn't eat him. Period. But in that book, first chapter, Daniel 1, he brings up about a diet that he eats. Daniel fast, it's called. It's 21 days. It's all vegetables, wheats, grains. Done this fast. Done it plenty of times. Like, we've done it twice.
We've done it full 21 days twice.
Full 21 days twice. We did it 14 days.
A
couple times. The only time we only stopped to do 14 days is because what I was going to get into is we celebrate Jewish holidays, but we also celebrate big events and family events and that. That's where then we eat meat. We eat like lamb. We eat brisket. We eat stuff like that, beef, stuff like from that aspect. You know what I mean? So that would break the fast, unfortunately, when you celebrate that, because when we do the family outing, if it was like a birthday we were doing, or that if they were like, hey, I want beef, or that's what we made. You know what I mean? So, but
lately we've been doing it all week except for Shabbat.
Yes, except for Saturdays or Fridays. You tend to, because when you go to like synagogue, they tend to have something there that you're going to have it. Even when we meet with that other family, they're going to have it. Even if we were following the Daniel fast, they're still going to have it, and it's out of respect. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a great fast to follow, very disciplined fast to follow. It toughens your body up, but it also helps if you want to get yourself in a really good, get your body into good shape as far as like adjusting without certain things. Great fast to get into, because it does help you adjust to without having that kind of meat thing. We both went through it where we had after 2 weeks, we were into the first time we went 21 days without it. Mm-hmm. Week 2, we were kind of like, it feels a little different not having meat for here. It felt a little different. We felt a little more. You do feel a lot better, but gets me to the next point. Kind of meats that are better to get are what?
Oh. Lamb. I like lamb.
But I'm saying the kind of meats like to get. Are they better from a butcher? Is it better for your own meats? Is it better for?
It's better if you get it from a butcher.
Is it better if you do it yourself?
If you could do it yourself, yes, but we don't.
First and foremost, I want to tell you that if you could do it yourself, do it yourself. That's the one thing we do not know how to do. I did not have a farm growing up, so I do not know how to do that. Never knew how to do that. I'm sure it's not something that's very difficult. But they do say that there's a humane way that you're supposed to do that. And I'm not going out there and trying to butcher them like it's the Terrifier or something out here. So we're not doing all that. I'm not doing that. I need to go and learn how to do it in an act of kindness, because the animal is doing us due diligence or what it does. It provides what it's supposed to provide for us. And back in the day, biblically, that's what the animals were for. The kids played with the animals up until, people have names for their animals, but up until Betsy got, older, Betsy got picked out of the herd that she had getting made to take care of the family for the house, for those couple weeks. Little boy went to Shabbat school or something, came home, and Betsy was gone. They just said she ran away or something, like it provided something for what it was, but it's in the book. And I promise you that God has created all animals to understand that their role and purpose is to do that. There is not a role and purpose where there is a rule, that law that says that you are supposed to let the lamb you buy die of old age. Could you? Yeah, absolutely. If you don't eat meat and you're a vegetarian, but you buy the lamb to use its wool for something, as long as you're still partaking in something for the wool. But I promise you, when your lamb dies and you go to get it, whatever, or you go to bury it or do whatever, somebody's going to take that land and want to use that lamb and want to use it for its meat. Especially if you cared for that animal, because it's meant to be used. Now, one animal I will say I've heard people say that they've eaten, I think is kind of disturbing, I never eat, is a horse. Mm-hmm. Please don't ever bring that up on comment. Like, I think horses are beautiful animals. I'd never eat a horse, so don't ever bring that up. Horses are beautiful animals, just not something I'd eat. Neither are donkeys. They should not be eaten. They're meant to be what they are. Don't be killing them. Now, with that being said, use a butcher,
yes,
or yourself. They're the best for them because they clean them, they butcher them, they do whatever.
Because now if you go into the store, they have lab-created meat.
Yeah, you didn't know that? You didn't know that? You ever see a video of it? Look it up.
Yes, I saw it tonight. It's disgusting.
Lab-created chickens. You ever see it? Guys, if you haven't, I wish I could pull it up. I'm going to try to pull it up before I share it. Show you lab-created chickens. They're trying to get it to the point where they have mastered lab-created cows, which would mean that you are lab-creating your milk at that point, gentlemen and ladies.
But your body can't digest it, break it down, and gets no nutritional value from it.
Because they can't imitate the biblical aspect. So, y'all ever heard the story of the scientist that they put in charge, or there was a scientist that was out there, said he was going to try to create the exact right pH level of water. He was a match it to a T. This was going to be no problem. And every time he tried to do it, he could not do it. When they asked him, well, why can't you get the matching level of pH water so we could create water for another, because they wanted him to create the water so they knew how to create it to make it perfect for another potential, like a land or a world or anywhere that they wanted to put water. They knew how to set the pHs to make it balanceable for drinking, eating, boiling, all that we could do it like today, like our rivers. And he said, can't match it. It's a perfect balance. He said, well, it's a perfect balance. He said, only one person knows. I said, well, who's the person knows? He said, God. He created the earth. We can't match it. I can't match it. One time they tried to create the water. That's how much people tried to imitate God. They tried to match his water to create the water like they're trying to alter animals. We've already altered people. We got robots running around driving cars. I swear I've been joking with people. I said, yo, you're going to get an Uber to pull up one day, think it's me, and you're going to get a different car to pull up. It's going to be like Uber version me. It's going to be robotic version. The robot's name is going to be like Billy or something, man. It's going to be like, I am Billy. I am your Uber driver. Like, I'm telling you, it's got to start doing stuff like that. They could do all that. You can't imitate God. Just like when they found the blood of Jesus from Shroud of Turin, that archaeologists that tested the blood, took it to the Jewish blood thing, and they tested it. And it came out with the chromosomes that had the one from the father.
Mother.
No, one from the father.
Was it from?
And then the mother, he had all the genetics from the mom.
Mm.
The The one they got for his dad is what would have made him the male.
Yeah.
And they said, well, whose blood is this? Because it only has, what was it, 20? What do you need chromosomes? I'm not a blood.
I think it's 21.
You need more than that, I think. What is the actual blood? He had.
I'm gonna look it up.
He had the awkward number, but he had only the one, and he had the other ones from his mom, and they were like, but how would he only have this many chromosomes? I think you need 48 total.
46.
46. So he only had 20.
23. 20. Yeah, 23.
Something like that. That matched his mom and having the one chromosome of his of
Then
God.
he would have 24.
So he had that. And they said, well, how can they prove that? And he said, because the blood only matches one person that would have dated back to the date and time of when he was crucified. That also matched up then, conveniently, to a historical account of a date and time of when there was an earthquake after he was crucified. In that same time, a Roman centurion bowed down at the cross and cried that he was the Lord and Savior after he had pierced him, when the water had splashed him in his face. All these things that happened all crazy, but yet somehow we're trying to imitate that. That's what I'm trying to say. People are like, it's powerful. There's powerful stuff that goes on here. Some people get annoyed with the fact that I post all this stuff in that, and that's fine that, people get annoyed with it, but this is a factual thing, man. God is coming back. God is sending Jesus back. Jesus is coming back, and I feel like it's going to happen, and it's going to happen, and when it does, it's going to happen fast, and it's going to be furious, and it's going to be quick. And those that are like imitators and making mockeries of it and all of that are going to be the first to see about it, because of the fact they're trying to mock everything he's done, and they're trying to imitate everything that he's done. Because through God, Jesus, everything is perfect. We are humans. We are built to be flawed. We can't be perfect. None of us are perfect. There's not a single person that's popped on this live stream that can sit there and tell me we went through today with everything perfect. I tried too.
I'm kidding.
I try, but we can't go and tell me. You can't tell me if there's not a day that you don't try. The goal is to try. If you're not trying to be.
Oh, we fail miserably.
But we try, and I swear, I hope half of y'all honestly try. I want y'all to try.
We fail.
Try to be great. But we all have that day where you wake up, something goes wrong, you're on your way to work, you get a phone call from your ex-wife, you get a phone call about kid did bad in school, something. Now all of a sudden your day's thrown off. I'm gonna give you the advice that we heard in a sermon today, actually, from somebody that honestly I thought her advice, her what she felt was being prophesied to her, she heard was that advice that she had to give to others, actually made sense. If you're having those type of struggles, you still just got to praise and talk with God. I like to say talk with God, because some moments you can't really praise. You know what I mean? If you're in work, you're in a booth, or you're at work on the floor, you can't just throw it all up and do it. Yeah, you could. I mean, but your job's probably not going to appreciate it very much. And God understands that. Sometimes the conversation is meant for you to just have a little heart-to-heart with him. And you can praise him while talking to him. You could ask him, like, hey, what's going on here with me? What am I doing wrong? What is it I did? What can I do to improve? But everything through you is good, and this is why I'm where I'm at. But what do I need to do to get better? Stuff like that. You know what I mean? He will answer you. If it's something about the way you're thinking, somewhere in between, you'll get that sign that's going to say, okay, we need to fix how you're thinking. Has nothing to do with what you're doing. It's the way you think. It's what you want. That's the problem. I'm not giving it to you because what you want, you think you want, is not really what you want. Had too many great people in my Bible want things that they wanted, and look what happened to them. You know what I mean? Too many great ones. One of my favorites was Samson. Didn't read it. Read the book of Judges. Terrible things happened because he wanted what he wanted, and that's what the outcome is. So, for me, and you get, better finances. You have, intimacy. Intimacy with your significant other or children. This is a beautiful thing because actually, if you see my live stream last night, I involved my brother and I had my beautiful partner here in my cooking. It is a beautiful bonding thing. It does. I think food bonds everybody. I think anybody that would be on this live stream would see that cooking actually bonds everybody. I mean, think about it. When you were a kid and your grandmother or nonna, whatever the term is that we use in your countries and cultures, that you was cooking and you wanted to go over there. What was the one thing that always made you want to go over there? Oh man, Graham's cooking. I gotta go over. You know what I mean? Or my aunt's cooking, or somebody was cooking. And food brought it together. Think about it. What brings people together for these holidays? I mean, we don't really celebrate Thanksgiving. I'll give you that. It doesn't celebrate it like that. We go to people's houses for it and we'll eat like what they make. But what is it that brings people together? No, it's not the NFL football games, if anybody asks that, because I know somebody will comment Thanksgiving football. Yes, for the males, it does. Males will be like, Thanksgiving football day, especially if you're a Cowboys fan like me and they're playing Eagles this year, you're definitely interested in going. But no, what really bonds the people is food. Why? Because everybody brings something to the table. They're all like, oh, I could bring this, I could bring that, and that. But also what hurt that was we culturalized it then, where then it became like a competition. Who could outdo who? Who could outdo what? Who's doing more for who? There was no more thanks. There was no more giving. It was just the nature of the holiday. It was just showing up and just being there because you were expected to. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say that, oh, yeah, I got to stop by my sister's because I'm expected to. Like, you don't want to go see your sister? No, I don't. I'm just expected to because my mom wants me to. You know what I mean? It's like Thanksgiving's about giving thanks for the things that we have. But most importantly, like I like to turn Thanksgiving in not to what it was about us, back in the day where the country was founded in Thanksgiving for that, because we all know how the history of that went. I'm using it as a way to be thankful for what God had given me. What has God given me? What am I thankful for today like I am every day? It's the people that are in my life. Those are the people I want to spend time with. Those are the people that I want to be around. Yeah, I want to be able to pop in and see the people I've talked with throughout that year. Make sure that they're good. That's the chance for me to travel, because I used to be the one to cook for all the years. Now I get to be the traveler. I get to pop in and see people. Oh, what are you doing? How are you doing? This and that. Yeah, I'll try that. You know what I mean? I'm a pumpkin pie guy. If you have pumpkin pie, I'll come by. I'll check it out. I'll try it. But I'll watch a game. I'll come by. I'll watch people's game, like the game over at people's houses. I like to be that. The great thing about Messianic Judaism is you get to celebrate Hanukkah right into Christmas. We had to celebrate both of them. Mm-hmm. Celebrate Hanukkah in the church, synagogue. We celebrate it all the way up to the Festival of Lights. It is really a Festival of Lights. That's really what the celebration is. But in the process, we celebrate the birth of Jesus. Now, the actual birth of Jesus, we know, was in springtime somewhere. Biblically, it was like April or something. Springtime it would be. We decided to make it December, fit the time for what they say. But it's still the time that we're supposed to honor Jesus. I don't know when Jesus was ideally born. I don't have the scripture for it. They're saying that when it was founded, the scripture says it was dated back to some time in Jerusalem in a springtime, because the way it was written and described, the herds were still out with sheep and stuff like that, and it would have had to be a springtime night. You know what I mean? Because their winters, they don't really be having herds out like that still. You know what I mean? So, Christmas time is another one. Christmas, I remember my grandmother making Christmas about spending time with each other. I remember one of the first years, only a couple of years, I met my great-grandmother. Maybe like a year or two. She didn't do all that gift stuff. She made you come over just to see her. You went there just to hang out with her. Just to see the importance of what it is to have family and to be thankful for family. She used to say, and tell my grandmother and that tell them to be thankful that God gave you today and that what you have. because everything else is materialistic. And we changed that into a culture where now Christmas is like, it's competition. I heard a kid yesterday in Walmart tell their mom when they seen something, if you don't get this for my birthday, can you get it for Christmas for me? We are in July.
To be fair, Bella does that quite often.
Yes, but I'm saying that's the point. Children have now got to the point where once it hits July, they're like, yeah, parents have to start. We're starting school.
They have a list.
We're starting school, so Christmas is there.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is July for like somebody like us who celebrates Jewish holidays, and if anybody celebrates Jewish holidays, you know exactly what I'm about to say. Fall time starts, the busiest time of Jewish holidays. It's the most beautiful time as well. But you got to remember, everything's coming up. You got Rosh Hashanah. We got Yom Kippur, which is a very important holy day. It's like the important of holy days. We got Sukkot, which is another day that you like. We want to get like a real Sukkot, like to put outside. I really honestly like it. I like the whole thing of it, to get the citron and all that. I really do like the Sukkot. I'd love to get a real one. Maybe when I'm in Tennessee, I could get one and have it for my yard. I'd love to have a Sukkot because I think they're cool to sit in too. Watching all these biblical things and hearing about how they used to sit under Sukkots and that, just to sit under them. And that was kind of cool. And for the holiday Sukkot, I think it'd be great to have one to be able to put out. Sukkot, then you get into, who we got? Yom Kippur, Sukkot.
I think the Feast of Tabernacles.
Feast of Tabernacles is in between there somewhere. Then, of course, you get into Hanukkah. You know what I mean? Hanukkah comes up.
Yep.
And it all ends in what? Spring. And Passover. And Elijah. Passover. My favorite prophet. So, biblical eating. We got off subject a little bit here, guys. I apologize. Biblical eating. Spiritual mindset should be based upon a spiritual mindset that it's something that you want to do based upon what God gave you. We have so many options out here in this world. I know that it's hard to do. So I would say definitely pray on it and how you can go about it. And God will definitely show you a direction on how you could go about it. I'm not saying like he's going to drop this in your lap, but I'm saying he will show you, how you could go about it from the best that you could. It should not become an idol. Eating has become a very big idol in this world. People use this as an excuse to take away from a lot of things. I quit smoking, so now I eat obesely. I eat obsessively. I eat whatever, you know what I mean? We have become a nation over here that we have okayed just obsessive eating and okayed everything in that aspect. And then when the people die, we want an answer for it.
That's because a lot of the processed stuff is loaded with sugar, which is honestly addictive.
It is. But when I bring this up, and I say this to people, though, people want an answer for why. People want an answer for why their loved one died, but did nothing to help.
Because they look at it as it's food, it's needed, but they don't realize
they also look at it like, I hate to say it, guys, that they also look at it like it's drugs, like this is just a disease that everybody, it happens and it just is what it is. You can't do nothing to fix it. That is not the truth. You can't fix it and you can't get away from it. It is by choice. I'm sorry, but you have a choice to do this. I've seen some people who have been in the worst scenarios. I've helped some of the people in the worst scenarios. One of the people I disciple have been in very bad scenarios and have changed their lives over. It is not that you are out of control and you cannot do this. Yes, do you have moments where you have blackout periods and you get out of control in those aspects? Yes, you do. But you don't get it where your life is a 25/8 out of control blackout period. Because if that was the case, that would mean that it's just justifiable to go do anything. I mean, that when you get angry, you could get in such a madness that it's okay to go out and cause harm to people, and it should be justified because you have a mental illness that says so. You know what I mean? I don't justify. I think you still make the choice to walk out your front door and shoot up a place with 20 people in it. You make a choice to go to a speech and shoot a person that is preaching about Jesus Christ and doing stuff like that. You make that choice, not because your mental illness told you that you had to. You make the choice to do that. I'm sorry, that's just my take on that. You don't go and kill somebody based upon the fact that you want to, that because someone tells you that your mental illness did it. So I don't think that eating comes because it tells you you have to. You know what I mean? You make the choice you want to. I had a guy that was overweight, that was really overweight, and I told him, like, listen, you got to start off slow, and go for some walks and start working it off that way and getting better with that. And then when he chose out not to do it, you know what he looked at me and told me? You're right, I could go and do it. I just don't want to. Proved the whole theory to the point when he said, I just don't want to. So, you know, guys, I try to speak about things that, you know, come in my heart and things that, you know, for y'all to listen to and understand that, you know, I post messages and that for positivity. And I want everybody to have a positive message in that. But also through that positivity, I want everybody to understand that through that positivity, we also have to be there to help one another and help grow with one another. And that also means helping get that one person that may be in our lives that's hanging on that edge and teetering on that edge to come over to the right side of the fence. Because I promise you, in the end, that fence is not a God-given fence. That fence is created by the devil, and it just goes that way. Fence goes left automatically because you just chose to stay on the fence. It goes left. You don't get picked up, and he doesn't pick you up and say, well, son, do you want to come to heaven with me, or do you want to go in hell with Satan because you're on the fence about me? You know what I mean? You make a choice. You have to make the choice. We need to do that as people. I believe I have a lot of people that are believers that have signed up and joined on my page. I thank y'all, love y'all that have done that, honestly. And I think some of y'all understand to get it. You know what I mean? I post messages about positivity. I post messages from Isaiah. I post messages from Jeremiah. You know what I mean? But those were fiery preachers, prophets. Read their books. If you don't know what they are, read their books. They were fiery. They were prophetic, but they created a lot of stirs, and they stirred up a lot of water and pissed a lot of people off. But they didn't preach anything wrong. You know what I mean? I am always dictated to go read the book of Judges. When I talk to God, like, tell me what you want me to read and what I'm supposed to do. He tells me to read the book of Judges. I'm reading the book of Judges. I'm always reading Judges, and I'm trying to come to use and speak with you guys. One, because I just enjoy speaking with you guys, but I also believe that culturally we can unite as people to help push each other to become a better people, but also to push the fact that Jesus is king and to help people see each other the way that Jesus sees, because that's what's missing in this world. It's not the fact that anything else is really missing. What's missing in the world is what they took away from us. They don't teach you anymore that Jesus is king. They don't teach you that in the schools no more. They don't teach you that all knees will bow when Jesus shows up. They don't teach you that Jesus said, love one another, but see one another the way that I see you. They just try to say you that Jesus said don't judge. Yes, Jesus did say don't judge, but Jesus didn't say don't judge like as in don't judge everything. Jesus said don't judge those that aren't willing to be judged themselves. So that means don't be afraid to tell somebody, like, listen, bro, you're tripping. But understand that if you go and tell somebody that they tripping, they're going to judge you. You know that you're doing wrong. Be ready to take it back. You can't judge a person that can't be willing to be judged themselves. That's what it is. People love to counter with, oh, you can't be judging me because it says Jesus said don't be judged. Finish the whole sentence. Jesus said don't judge, though. Don't be a judge to those who cannot be judged themselves. I'm here to help y'all, like me, grow in faith. I want everybody to grow in faith and then look at us to realize that these are the things that are missing in this world. The world needs Jesus. The world needs God. We don't have it. We don't need, what we don't need is a government to tell us that God don't exist and that we should put faith in nothing more than a human being like us. You want to know? I'm going to give one point why we should not do that. Think about how you've had a bad day in this world. Think about it. Think about how your mind has wandered and how it could be altered by the way the people around you have influenced it at any given moment. How it could be good or bad. And then tell me if that's what you want to really believe should be the ruler of all your kingdom and world, and where your soul should go at the end of the day. Because that's not where I want to go. Because I know for a fact that if I kept my people close by, I was going off them. I've had some very good people around me. But even some of them get a little fiery when it comes to like justification for things on people. You're going to have it'd be some really bad turnouts. So ask yourself the same question. You really want somebody to be that same person, to be in charge of that? Or would you rather a loving, merciful, and just God that's going to tell you, you did good, you are in heaven, come with me. You are a murderer, you're going to hell. You're a rapist, you're going to hell. You're good, come with me. And just cut and dry. The way it's supposed to be. Why is there any gray to this? Because we've grayed the area. We've grayed it because we are his greatest creation, and we have flawed because the devil has allowed us to become his greatest accomplishment of making it a flaw. Because we're victims to things. We fall victims to all the humanly things possible. Man and woman. I think I told you in my episode 2, it's been a couple weeks since then. I haven't really brought up the topic on a live stream or anything. But a couple weeks ago, I told you when I brought up the topic of lust, it was not men that led that topic. It was women that led that topic, ladies and gentlemen. It was women that led that topic. Blew my mind because I thought I'd have more men. I had one man in the group that came out and admitted. Now, maybe the other men were just trying not to admit it. But I had one man that came out. It was like, nah, me, definitely. Yesterday, I was like convicted in the spirit. Today, I looked at something online, and I could have thirsted over it for the whole day. You know what I mean? And completely threw it all away. Human nature is given to us to be flawed. We have become Satan's playground. That's what I like to call us. The earth has become Satan's playground. And he manipulated everything perfectly. If you were Satan, how would you have manipulated humans? Watch a video. Joe Rogan plays a video back from a priest from like the 60s or something. He says, how if I were Satan, I would control the human population and manipulate it all. This was played. He recorded this in the 60s. Joe Rogan played this on his show not too long ago. Everything he said in the video is exactly what's going on today. And I said, I probably think the same way. He said, I'd take over the airwaves. I control what children are watching, what they're doing in schools, what they're listening to musically, and then I'd start monitoring what's going out there and what people are hearing. Think about it. That's all what's going on now. Mm-hmm. This was done in the 60s or somewhere, but somebody told me that video, actually, the pastor said that like in the 40s. It just was discovered in the 60s, which is even crazier if it was from the 40s. But think about it. We become his playground. We've okayed the things that we all have going on now. The same things these generations complain about are the same things that have been created by years and years of allowing it and doing it. Only we can make it right by trying to change the course and turning it backwards. Only we can make it right by trying to change it back a little bit by little bit by little bit. God will make it all right in the end, but only we can make it right in the aspects of where we can by turning back where we know things are wrong here and setting a better example for them or guiding them better. That being said, guys, I want to tell everybody it's been a great night. I hope that y'all have a blessed and safe night. You will see more of this young lady here in these shows with me more often. We will be doing this more frequently. It's her first time on the show with me, so she didn't speak very much. I promise you the next one she will speak a little more. She'll be a little more in on it. We've we've also had a very, very long day. Saturdays tend to be very long days. We also had a big family get together today, so there was a lot of food involved, cooking, doing all that stuff, babies running around, and we did that. So, with that being said, I hope that y'all have a safe and blessed night. I love y'all. I thank y'all for the support. I hope that y'all are doing good, being beacons of light, loving one another, seeing each other the way that Jesus seen us, through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ's name. Amen.